Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take the source material you send us and really dig into it to pull out the key insights.
Think of it as your fast track to getting up to speed on some fascinating topics.
And today, well, you've given us a really interesting pair of books. A real contrast, actually.
Yeah, it looks like a great combination for exploration.
Absolutely. So first up, we have Fringe Voices,
Yeah.
an anthology of minority writing in the Federal Republic of Germany.
Mm-hmm.
And paired with that is Voices from the Fringe, short stories by S. Mitchell.
Two very different takes on that word, fringe, I suspect.
Exactly. So our mission today, kind of a two-parter. First, understand the experiences, the, cultural contributions of minority groups in Germany through their writing.
And second.
And second, we dive into some speculative fiction, short stories that sound like they really make you think.
Okay. So a mix of real-world social commentary and imagined futures or alternate realities.
You got it. You've given us a lot to unpack here, and frankly, I'm quite eager to get started.
Me too. Let's kick off with Fringe Voices. Published in 1998, which is significant, gives it a specific context.
Right. That date immediately tells you it's capturing a particular moment in time, post-reunification Germany, but before, the turn of the millennium.
And it's an anthology bringing together different writers. Who are we talking about?
Well, it mentions a really diverse group writers with Turkish backgrounds, Afro-Germans, German Jews, people from Eastern Europe, basically various minority voices living in Germany then.
And it includes essays and literary excerpts, so not just fiction or poetry.
Seems like a mix, yeah, offering different angles, I suppose.
And the purpose? Why put this collection together back in '98?
The description says it was really about shedding light on the diverse experiences these groups were having, and also, importantly, introducing English-speaking readers to these literary talents.
So it had an international audience in mind, too. Trying to bridge a gap, maybe.
Seems like it. Giving these innovative writers, as they put it, deserved attention, making their contributions visible.
Which makes you wonder what the mainstream literary scene in Germany was like then. This book seems like a conscious effort to broaden that picture.
Definitely. And it also apparently notes its own relevance for understanding the changing German society and, quite pointedly, the rise of xenophobia around that time.
That's heavy. So the writing likely touches on themes of identity, belonging, maybe prejudice?
I think we have to assume so, given that context. It's framed as voices from the fringe, dealing with the realities of being perhaps othered in that society.
And the fact it includes bibliographical references suggests it's positioning itself not just as literature, but also as a resource for further study or understanding.
Yeah, it adds that layer of, let's say, academic or intellectual grounding to the personal and literary contributions. It's saying, these experiences matter, and here's how you can learn more.
Okay, so Fringe Voices is really about capturing and amplifying specific marginalized experiences within a particular national context at a specific time.
Well put. Now let's completely switch gears. Let's talk about Voices from the Fringe, short stories by S.M. Mitchell.
Right. Much more recent, published June 2020. And it's a debut collection, 4 short stories.
Totally different world, or worlds perhaps. The themes sound very sci-fi, very speculative.
Yeah, the description mentions things like the dangers of a time loop.
Okay, always tricky.
The difference between man and machine.
A classic.
And this one sounds intriguing. The consequences for a shapeshifter who gets robbed. Like, what do you even steal from a shapeshifter?
Ah, good question. It sounds like a real mix of ideas. Is there anything connecting them?
Well, interestingly, the author apparently suggests there's a common source linking the stories, but leaves it, open to interpretation.
Oh, I like that. Big mysterious. Invites you to look for the threads yourself.
Exactly. It prompts you to think, okay, what is the underlying theme here?
So what did reviewers make of it? Did they find that common source?
Well, opinions vary, as they often do. Liza Cordero framed them as asking these big existential questions. Like, why do we do what we do? What is worth dying for? Should we be good if there are no consequences? What makes us human? She calls them futuristic adventure stories.
Okay, futuristic adventure gives a flavor. But existential questions, too. Sounds ambitious for short story.
It does. Then you have Marla Anderson, who had a more mixed reaction.
Oh, how so?
She really liked 2 of them. Repeat, the time loop one, which apparently had shifting realities, which sounds cool.
Ooh, like the loop isn't always the same.
Something like that, it seems. And losing shape, the shapeshifter one, which she described as horror. So strong reactions there.
But the other 2?
Less impactful for her. Preservation, about a post-apocalyptic library search. An automaton with robots blending in. She felt maybe they didn't bring enough new ideas to the table or needed more context.
Right. That happens. Sometimes the familiar tropes need a really fresh twist.
Exactly. But then Ashley Nicole seemed to enjoy all of them. She even drew parallels to things like The Last of Us, Life is Strange, Detroit Become Human, Supernatural.
Wow, that's quite a range of influences or comparisons.
Yeah.
Suggests a lot going on thematically.
It really does. She felt they could even be expanded into novels, which is often a good sign, right?
Definitely. Means the world building or characters grabbed her,
Though she did say the endings felt a bit abrupt, like, oh, I wanted more.
which can be frustrating, but also, as you say, a sign that the core ideas were engaging.
Mm-hmm. And Chris Baum also liked all four, particularly the dystopian setting of the first one.
So, mostly positive vibes, despite Anderson's reservations.
Yeah, and Daniel highlighted how they offer unique twists on classic ideas, multiverse, voices from the past, identity shifts. Praise them for making you think and ask questions.
It sounds like they lean into ambiguity, maybe. Not neat, tidy endings.
That seems to be the consensus, provoking thought rather than providing all the answers.
And what about Mark Stadelman?
He apparently went in a bit wary, expecting maybe YA dystopian tropes.
Okay, common fear sometimes with sci-fi.
Right. But he was pleasantly surprised, found himself drawn in, and actually enjoyed the last two stories the most.
Interesting. So his experience was almost the opposite of Marla Anderson's preference.
It just shows how subjective reading is, doesn't it? Different stories resonate with different people.
Absolutely. So we have these two books, both using the word fringe in their titles, one very grounded in German social reality.
And the other exploring speculative, imagined realities. How do we connect these? You mentioned the fringe idea earlier.
Yeah, I mean, it seems the most obvious link, right? Both are looking at perspectives from outside the perceived center or mainstream.
But in very different ways.
Totally different ways. In Fringe Voices, it's about social marginalization,
Mm-hmm.
ethnic, cultural, religious minorities within a specific nation state, Germany.
Mhm.
Their voices are literally on the fringe of the dominant culture.
Okay, so fringe there means societal positionality. What about in Mitchell's stories?
There, fringe seems more conceptual, existential. It's about being on the edge of normal human experience or normal reality. A time loop, being non-human, living post-apocalypse, questioning humanity.
So individuals grappling with fringe realities rather than fringe social locations.
That's a good way to put it. One's about the fringe within society, the other about the fringe of experience or existence itself.
So what does this concept of fringe, explored so differently, tell us when we put these books side by side?
Well, it really makes you think about where the boundaries are drawn, doesn't it? Who defines the center and who gets pushed to the fringe, whether that's in society or in, like, our understanding of what's real or human.
Both collections seem to challenge assumptions, just from completely different angles.
Hmm.
The anthology challenges assumptions about German society and who contributes to its culture.
Hmm. And the stories challenge assumptions about, well, reality, identity, maybe even morality, based on those reviewer comments about consequences.
So to kind of wrap up the key takeaways, Fringe Voices, the anthology, gives you this invaluable window into minority experiences in late 20th century Germany. It highlights their cultural contributions and the social realities, including xenophobia they face.
Yeah, it's a work of witness and assertion, really. And Mitchell's Voices from the Fringe offers these thought-provoking speculative journeys, using sci-fi and fantasy ideas to poke at fundamental questions about being human, about choices, about reality itself.
Both encourage you to consider perspectives you might not normally encounter. One grounded in history and society, the other in imagination.
Right. They push you to think outside your own bubble, basically.
So maybe the final thought for you, our listener, is this. Considering these different kinds of fringe voices, the socially marginalized and the existentially displaced, what does that reveal about how we construct normal?
Ooh, that's a good one. How do we define belonging, identity, normalcy itself, both in a real place like Germany and in the, limitless worlds of fiction? Where are those lines drawn and why?
Definitely something to chew on. It shows how literature, whether realist or speculative, can really open up those questions.
It certainly does. Well, thank you so much for sending these sources our way. A truly fascinating pairing.
Yeah, this was a great exploration. We hope this deep dive gave you some useful perspectives.
And hopefully spark some curiosity to maybe explore these themes or these books even further.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.